Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of My Favorite Friendship. I'm Marc Muszynski.
And I'm Brian Wohl.
And we're best friends. And we only podcast with our best friends, but we also only podcast for our best friends. So right now, you guys got 2 new best friends. And we're very excited about that. And we not only podcast with and for our best friends, but we also only podcast about best friends. Because My Favorite Friendship is a true friendship podcast about real stories of actual friendships that we can hopefully learn from, be inspired by, and grow from. I don't know. I didn't think that all the way through before I started saying it. But I think the message is clear.
Yes, the message is clear. We love friendship, and we want to be better friends.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. I think it's pretty rad. I've been having so much fun researching different kinds of friendship. Do you have any kinds of friendship that you've been thinking about in the future, Mark?
Well, I noticed that initially I gravitated towards, like, literary friendships or something. You know, people who were maybe in the same field working together. And now I'm kind of like, what else is there? I bet you there's friendships of... One thing I loved about the first episode where you did the Mark Twain, Nikola Tesla story is they're both 2 guys from totally different worlds. And seeing how they came together is fascinating.
I'm completely blown away by all the different kinds of friendships that keep revealing themselves as I think about it. And it makes me optimistic for this podcast to keep going for a while, because I keep finding fun stuff.
It would be really tragic if we had to stop because there weren't enough friendships.
I mean, at least somebody figured it out. If we were the ones that figured out there weren't that many, I'd be okay being the guys.
I mean, people used to say that about, I remember learning about writing, and people would say, well, there's only 16 stories, and every story is just a variation of those stories. I don't know if the number was 16, but it was low. And I think that's such a sad way to look at the world, that sure, there's categories, there's a lot of similarities, but every person is unique, and not just every person is unique, but every person is unique at different points in their life. And every relationship they have with another person is unique and also changes over time. So I feel like there's sort of an infinite variety of things, and I'm excited about it.
And those varieties are things that we can identify with. It's cool to see patterns. That doesn't mean we can't, apply these people to our lives, even though they're completely different. Like, the 2 people I have today are completely different than any of us. I think they're...
Great.
It might seem a little unrelatable, but I'm going to try to bring it down to earth because they're both such big stars.
Okay, go for it.
All right, my friendship this week is the friendship of Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett.
Oh, that's awesome. I knew they had an album. I didn't know they were sort of friends beyond that collaboration.
They actually, Tony Bennett just commented on her Instagram 2 days ago as of the recording of this podcast.
I imagine she had to show him how to use Instagram.
But yeah, so whatever it is, they're still at least like chatting back and forth on the gram.
So Lady Gaga, obviously, I mean, maybe people don't know, is a hugely successful pop musician, songwriter, performer, I guess now movie soundtrack song composer and actress.
Yeah, she's a millennial. And I think she's like 34 years old.
No way. She's the same age that we are.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, doesn't that put that in this
I feel weird calling her a lady then.
Yeah, right?
I think it's because it's Lady. It makes me think she's older.
Yeah, but she is our age.
And Tony Bennett, I only sort of, I feel weird. Like, I guess I think I know who Tony Bennett is, but I don't really. Well, I know him as like an old guy, probably jazz, ?
How about I take a stab at this? Tony Bennett has been an American star vocalist for over 60 years. Tony Bennett is most known for singing American standards. Like you do think of big band music, Mark. He's a vocalist for that type of music. Tony Bennett is famous for songs like I Left My Heart in San Francisco, but he also, later in his career, started doing duets with younger artists, emulating Frank Sinatra. He did that too. And they were very successful. And so Tony Bennett, the first way that we knew Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett together would be on their duet album together. But they actually met in 2011. Tony Bennett went and saw Lady Gaga perform, and she sang Nat King Cole's Orange Colored Sky just as a little special part of her set. And Tony Bennett was so moved by it, he went backstage to talk to her, and he asked her to do a duet with him on his next album. And they would go on to sing The Lady is a Tramp together. Now, I think we may have watched... There's a documentary about Tony Bennett called The Zen of Bennett. And I think we may have watched it together, I'm not sure. But it's about, Tony Bennett and how he's been able to have such a great career for so long and also be so beloved. Everybody just knows him as a nice, positive guy all the time. And in this documentary, we see Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga record The Lady is a Tramp together. And it is so adorable. The two of them are just glowing, looking at each other, just completely in love and having a ball. Because it's kind of like a little bit of that jazz style vocals, they're allowed to improvise a bit, and their improvisations together are just filled with warmth and love. It's so wild because you hear him also do duets with like John Mayer and Amy Winehouse, which is also famously, I think that's in Amy Winehouse's documentary. There's a special connection with Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett. And it's so cool that we actually get to see it on video. And now after they did this album, the one recording of the song, 3 years later they did an album called Cheek to Cheek. They did a 36-date concert tour, world tour, together. And that tour lasted a little bit over a year. I mean, it's 36 dates, so they had pauses, but the two of them...
Yeah, but it's still... You gotta really like someone to commit to being in shows with them, in on and off the road for a year.
Yeah, a 36-date global tour, so there's a lot of travel. And then they also did a PBS special of the same name, Cheek to Cheek. Part of the tour, they did some smaller venues and like jazz festivals so that Gaga could kind of stretch out a little bit, do something different. She had just did that album Art Pop, and it was her first album that didn't do 10 million sales or something. It still did I think 3 or 4, but it wasn't as big. And
I guess it's funny in retrospect because she called it Art Pop, and then she's like, I didn't do that well. And I don't want to be a huge cynic, but also usually when things are really artful, they are just by nature a little bit less broadly appealing. And so it's funny that she's like, I'm going to get him with this one. It'll be pop, but also super artistic, and everyone's going to love it.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was a real bummer. She was depressed because she also ended up finding out that her management and some of her assistants were embezzling money from her. So she was just...
Really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, she just was exhausted going into this duet with Tony Bennett. So when we see that documentary, that Zen of Tony Bennett, we see Gaga and Bennett together, she is at the end of her rope. And she said she just didn't want to even perform anymore. She was just exhausted. It just wasn't fun anymore.
That's awful. To be betrayed by the people that work for you, and then to have what you're perceiving as... Because I feel like when she did Art Pop, there's a lot of songs on there, and I'm not a great Lady Gaga historian, but there's a lot of songs on there that feel very much like expressions of her dealing with being in the spotlight. Isn't Applause is on that one, right?
Yeah, it's a great song.
And I think, so it's pretty hard to create an album that's like, this is my true feelings about being your, this is my true feelings about being a celebrity and to be the subject of your adoration. And then the fans are like, meh.
Man, she put out so much that year. I'm a big Muppets fan, and she even did a special with the Muppets, and that tanked too. And she just I'm sure she was just feeling like everything just wasn't working, and there was no good reason why. It wasn't that I don't know. I thought the songs were good, but it just didn't hit. It didn't work.
We just had a lot. We'd also, she'd just come off of being super inspirational, because she does the song that's like the I'm on the Edge.
Yeah.
One. There were a lot of songs. She became like that sort of big anthem-y kind of thing. This space that like Katy Perry occupied for a while too. And those are always such big hits. And to go from that to something a little bit more personal and a little bit more specific is, I don't know. And also we'd had a lot of Lady Gaga the past several years, so maybe the world was just ready to take a little break.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And so she was feeling so alone, and Tony Bennett was just like, I would never stop singing. That's something that I would never do. And he was like, the one thing that I love to do is sing, and so that's what I've kept doing. And I don't know, she said something just clicked for her when he said that. And I know it sounds really simple, and I'm going to say it again, is Tony said, I just keep singing. Whatever happens, I just keep going, making more songs, because that's what I like to do. And that clicked with her. And she said that it saved her life. She said Bennett was the only person that one of the few people that she felt she could actually relate to, because he's had ups and downs in his career. He's had times where he was really popular, and then times where people were like, like, that guy's still singing? Wow.
That's how I felt about him, I think, until that Lady Gaga album came out. I'm like, oh, that's like my grandma's favorite singer.
Oh, yeah. He's almost 90, and he's still doing shows. It's winding down, but he's still doing shows.
That's incredible. And I hope I'm still doing something when I'm 90. I think you mentioned on a previous podcast that you don't want to be doing anything by the time you're 90.
I mean, here's what I want to be doing when I'm 90. Whatever I want. In the last podcast, I said I don't want to be doing anything for anyone else. Fair.
Okay. Now 90, I'm back on board.
I'm doing things for me. It's just, that's what I was saying in that previous podcast. It was like, no, I wouldn't want to serve in government for anyone else and help. No, I'm 90. Take a break, It's time to finally sit back and relax. Anyway, let me get back to Gaga.
Yeah.
So she said, after they recorded this song Lush Life, which I think was also on the Duets album, she kept saying, am I a mess, Tony? I don't want to be a mess. I want to make you proud. And he said to her, no, you're not a mess. You're a sophisticated lady. And it just melted her. And she
sophisticated lady.
A sophisticated lady. And whatever it was, that's what did it for Lady Gaga. And it relaxed her. And, Tony Bennett, as a hobby, he paints. And so she asked him while they were recording to sketch a trumpet for her. And Tony Bennett said, I will sketch you Miles Davis trumpet. And so, who knows what that looks like? I guess Tony Bennett does.
Yeah, weird flex,
Yeah, I know. Of all trumpets. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a trumpet guy, so I don't know. But he sketched her Miles Davis trumpet. And she asked him to sign his last name under it. And he signed his real last name, Benedetto. his real name. It still is, his real name is Tony. He's Anthony Benedetto. And I think Gaga's real name is Stephanie Germanotta. So they're both, New York Italians. So she got this trumpet, Miles Davis trumpet with Benedetto under it, tattooed on her, so that she would always have a reminder of her time with Tony Bennett together.
That's a level of friendship I don't think we've hit yet, the level of friendship where you get tattoos.
Yeah, I don't have a tattoo with you or any friends at all.
Oh, I got
no
that's a good point. I meant we haven't covered on this podcast, but we have yet to reach that in life. We talked about it at one point, getting tattoos for our improv group, and I think in retrospect, getting tattoos of any improv group is probably a poor decision.
Well, it wasn't just it was an actual company, and we toured and we had employees. It's don't minimize it too much. But yes, it was a company and it died. But I don't think I don't think that's any less important than her doing an album with Tony Bennett and getting a tattoo of that. I think that's the same thing. Sure.
Okay. Well, maybe we gotta call everyone up and get everyone back to the tattoo parlor.
I mean, the time has passed, Mark. I think that's the thing. Is you get the tattoo to mark the time as it is at the time.
That's good, because
I'm
not good with tattoos normally anyway.
I assume that's the idea. I mean, of course, anyone can get a tattoo at any point, whatever. But I feel like the idea of this tattoo is to, commemorate this moment in time, and now I'll have this moment in time forever. I'm marked by it. But if we got the tattoo after the fact, it wouldn't be the same.
Then it's like we're trying to turn back time. That's not how tattoos work.
Yeah, no, it's it's that moment forever.
So Lady Gaga gets this tattoo, and I assume Tony Bennett knows about it.
Yeah, he did not get a tattoo.
Where is the tattoo? Because I feel like tattoo placement is a huge indicator of how someone feels about that tattoo.
I'm pretty sure it's on her forearm, but let me check to see the photo again while I have internet access.
Forearm is bold. That's visible. If you're wearing a short sleeve shirt or something.
Yeah, it is. But I think oh, you know what? It's not the forearm. It's actually the inside of her right bicep. If she was wearing a tank top, you see it.
Still, a fairly public tattoo.
Very public tattoo. But Gaga's, she's cool with that. If you saw the trumpet, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful tattoo.
Yeah.
Tony Bennett is an excellent artist. I don't think there's a thing that Tony Bennett is bad at. And one of the things that is amazing to me about this friendship, Mark, is the difference in age between the two.
Yeah.
Yet how clearly easy it is for the two of them to get along. And it's hard to describe except for say, please go watch video of these two together. They both just glow with one another. It's like he's, her uncle that she always wanted, or grandpa she always wanted, something like that. But it's a little bit more than grandpa in that, he knows what it's like to record and be an artist like she is, and it's hard to find someone that actually knows that pressure, someone who's had people close to them steal from them, all sorts of things, and Tony's been through it all, and he's doing better than ever, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten pretty much every honor you can get as a singer. Is there more to the story of their friendship, or it's hard to go anywhere after Tattoo, right?
Yeah, basically after Tattoo, that's about it. They've stayed in touch. They haven't made any records since. They've talked about it, but she started doing movies, and she had so much success, with her film work that it's not really. She's kind of focusing on that. But Gaga does have an album coming out this summer. It's called Chromatica.
Oh, cool.
And Tony Bennett has been plugging it on his social media, actually, and just talking about how he's listened to it, how he thinks it's amazing. Whenever she posts about it, he's just, amazing artwork for an amazing album. Whatever Gaga does, he is like number one cheerleader. It's adorable.
That's so cool. And it's also cool because I think oftentimes I think part of why people don't picture friendships with that big of an age gap is because you assume, wrongly in many cases, that someone who's a lot older doesn't care for or identify with the things that a younger person would do. But the fact that Tony Bennett can listen to a Lady Gaga album and still appreciate it, even though he may have grown up on, standards and big band music, like, that's awesome. It shows both of their intelligence and musical ability that they can appreciate things.
It always shows how ignorant someone is when they disparage another style of music that they don't understand. It's all the same thing. It's all math and notes and how you manipulate the math and the notes.
So one thing I want to say is that Lady Gaga, I had never heard of Lady Gaga, but I was watching SNL with you when she first came on and she performed Just Dance, I think. And she was wearing like weird spacey sunglasses and like no pants, basically. And she was dancing. And I remember us both thinking aloud, like, this lady's gonna be a star.
Oh yeah. She's a rock star. She's amazing. I root for her all the time. I'm not like a little monster. I'm not a huge like Gaga fan like some of the folks out there, but I do support her. I think she's awesome. I love that she keeps making things, and I hope she does forever.
So did reading about this story make you think about any older friends that you might have? Or if you don't have any older friends, why do you think that is, or where do you think you might be able to make some?
Yeah, it did make me think about it. And really the only older friends I have are, former teachers, I guess. I don't have any older friends that are like 60 years different from me, like Gaga, that are 50 years different from me, like Gaga and Tony Bennett. I have maybe like some that are 40 and 30-ish, but not that deep. And really it's only people that, it's really the closest is my professors, and that they're not that much older than me, really. I don't know. Do you have any older friends?
I don't really, other than probably some of the same professors.
Do you have anybody like 40 years older than you or more?
No, not that I often am interacting with. Other than coworkers, some people that I've worked with maybe. But I also think, but you also do young storytellers, so maybe in some cases you're the older friend.
Well, the kids are, they're 10, I'm 35, so it's 25-year gap.
True.
But yeah, Young Storytellers is awesome. I love that program, and I love to volunteer. I have not stayed in touch with the kids, though. There's nothing for me to talk to an 11-year-old about, really.
It's also, their parents probably don't want, like, a strange 30-something contacting their child.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I got my own friends. I'm fine. I have no interest in being a child's friend.
See, if Tony Bennett said that, we wouldn't have this episode.
I guess so, but it's different. She's an adult. I don't know.
What's your cutoff age for who's old enough to be your friend? Like 23, 24?
Yeah, pretty much. They'd have to be a really weathered 22 if they're young, but they'd have to have seen some shit. But right. Yeah, otherwise I'm not interested in being friends with someone younger than 23. Are you?
Not really. I mean, look,
right?
If they were like, there's some, because I think one thing that's interesting about this friendship is they're both incredibly good at something, and so they both get to share that passion for music and singing and songwriting with each other. So I think part of that's what helps them transcend that age gap, is that mutual respect and mutual ability. So I bet you if there was like a 16-year-old dude who is just like a fucking incredible TV comedy writer, I'd be like, what's on this guy's brain?
I might be open, but probably not.
And without something like that to bridge the gap, our experiences are so different that I don't really know what we'd be getting from each other. I don't think anyone under the age of 21 wants my advice. I don't think I was super successful at that age. Maybe not at any age, but certainly not those ages. So I don't know that I'd be that valuable of a resource for them.
I feel weird. Maybe when I'm older I'll be okay with it. But right now, I have no interest in being friends with someone under the age of like 23. I'd say that would be a line.
I think partially because your world gets so much more complex after college, and there's so many more things that you're dealing with. And to use Tony Bennett's wording, you have to, if you want to survive, you just have to become more sophisticated. And that's the thing that I feel like I'm missing sometimes when I talk to much younger people. And it's probably the thing that much older people think I'm missing when they talk to me. Because as you go on and live and collect life experience and points of view and things like that, you just, by nature, grow in that way. And unless you can bring some mutual level of sophistication to the table, then you're not challenging the other person. And, you want a friendship where you're both growing.
I completely agree, with the exception of I do like it if someone still retains the ability to talk shit.
I mean, that can be a sophisticated skill.
But it's also it shows that they're incapable of handling things emotionally as well. Like, I don't think
Sure.
Tony Bennett is a shit talker, but man, it would be really fun to hear him be like, Sinatra thought he was so good. That guy is a bump. Just a little. Just a little, I would want to hear.
Well, and you asked me at the beginning of this, what are some of the things that I gravitate towards in a friendship to talk about? And I think that sophistication is one of them. I like the friendships where it feels like how the friendships I have feel. They're not like, oh, we are on this perfect, amazing level playing field all the time. Sometimes things are complicated. And strong friendships aren't about ones where you perfectly agree constantly. It seems like, and Tony Bennett, Lady Gaga seemed like a good example, they're about ones where you together make progress through all that stuff.
They're so amazing. And I think that's all I got this week, Mark. This was a really great talk.
I think I gotta go listen to some Lady Gaga, Tony Bennett music.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're so good. If you can watch the PBS special, I highly recommend it. It's called Cheek to Cheek. They are just having a ball. They are having so much fun. It'll make you feel like you're having a ball too.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brian, for sharing that, and thank you, everyone, for listening. Please follow the show, My Favorite Friendship, on all the different platforms. I'm Marc Muszynski.
And I'm Brian Wohl. You can follow me at Brian Wohl.
And you can follow me at Marc Muszynski. Links in all of the various podcast places that you might be listening to this. And if you have any cool friendships you think we should address, feel free to message us or comment on anything. We're always looking for new cool friendships to investigate. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.